Hello, I am Po-Tsao. Today I am going to talk about inferential and non-inferential reasoning, written by Bruce.m4v. My objective for today is to answer the question, what is the difference between inferential and non-inferential reasoning? Bruce.m4v takes reasoning to be the rational expansion, revision, or contraction of a person's intentional attitudes, such as a person's beliefs, intentions, or desires. The processes of reasoning, according to him, start with some of a person's existing attitudes, and that end with the word so, followed by a new attitude. In this case, reasoning does not have to be a fully conscious process. Some philosophers use the term reasoning to refer only to inferential reasoning. This use of the term is narrower than Sturmer's since it does not cover what he calls non-inferential reasoning. Some use the term inference to refer to any rational expansion, revision, or contraction of a person's intentional attitude, which is broader than Sturmer's use of the term inferential, since it covers both of what he calls inferential reasoning and non-inferential. Here is an example for a clearly inferential. The belief that if it is going to rain, the streets will get wet leads to the belief that it is going to rain, so the streets will get wet. An example for a clearly non-inferential is the belief that the weather forecast predicts rain leads to the sky is full of clouds, so there are reasons to believe that it is going to rain. In order to answer the question, disagreements in ethics and epistemology in which the difference between inferential and non-inferential reasoning are brought up into discussion. In ethics, some philosophers claim that, number one, moral reasoning is non-inferential. These philosophers are intuitionists who think that we have self-evident proposition for actions that we have an obligation to perform. They believe that knowledge for these propositions can be acquired from non-inferential reasoning. Some intuitionists go further and claim that, number two, all practical reasoning is non-inferential. Endorsing number two also means endorsing number one, because moral reasoning is considered to be a part of practical reasoning. Other philosophers reject number one and number two and claim that in epistemology, some foundationalists who believe that basic knowledge provides a foundation to all other knowledge claim that, number 6, there is a distinction between basic and non-basic knowledge. Number 7, we only have non-basic knowledge if we can acquire this knowledge by going through a process of inferential reasoning that starts from our basic knowledge. Some coherentists who deny the knowledge needs such foundation reject 6 and 7 and said, number 8, there is no distinction between basic and non-basic knowledge. There is also a controversy in epistemology about how we obtain knowledge through sense perception, because some philosophers claim that, number 9, we acquire knowledge through sense perception by going through processes of inferential reasoning, while others reject number 9 and said, number 10, we acquire knowledge through sense perception by going through processes of non-inferential reasoning. Or that number 11, we acquire knowledge through sense perception without going through any processes of reasoning at all. Those who endorse number 11 often claim that sense perception gives rise to knowledge by causing the beliefs that this knowledge consists in. There are two requirements that are necessary to satisfy the question, what is the difference between inferential and non-inferential reasoning? Firstly, you should give a correct, informative, and unified account of the difference between processes of reasoning that are clearly inferential and processes that are clearly non-inferential. Secondly, you should make sense of the existence of disagreements in ethics and epistemology in which the difference between inferential and non-inferential reasoning plays a role. The following are three answers that Sturmer proved unsatisfactory to the question in order to support his answers. The answer number 1 says, inferential reasoning is reasoning that is based on premises, and non-inferential reasoning is reasoning that are not based on premises. To elaborate answer number 1, inferential reasoning is reasoning that is based on premises that are evidence to its conclusion, that entail its conclusion, or that makes its conclusion plausible. And non-inferential reasoning is reasoning. Answer number 2 says that inferential reasoning is reasoning that is monotonic, and non-inferential reasoning is reasoning that is non-monotonic. Although adding premises to the original process of reasoning do not undercut the support that the original premises give to the conclusion of this process. Adding premises should not turn a process of reasoning from a non-inferential to an inferential. At most, it seems, adding extra premises should turn this process of reasoning into a process that is. The answer number 3 says that inferential reasoning is reasoning that has a descriptive conclusion, and non-inferential reasoning is reasoning that has a normative conclusion. The answer number 3 can also be reformulated to inferential reasoning is reasoning that has a conclusion that is not about reason, and non-inferential reasoning is reasoning that has a conclusion that. Since the process has a normative conclusion, according to answer number 3, it should be a non-inferential reasoning. Thus, its form is the same as the process of clearly inferential reasoning as the following. With the belief that if it is going to rain, the streets will get wet. It is going to rain, so the streets will get wet. It seems that this process of reasoning is rather inferential. Next, I will talk about the qualified answer to the question. As mentioned in the beginning about the definition of reasoning, reasoning is the modification, expansion, or contraction of a person's intentional attitude in response to reasons. The word reason here means pro tanto, normative reason. If reason is used according to Robert Brandom, propositions are what can serve as premises and conclusions of inferences, that is, can serve as and stand in need of reasons. That is to say, when we make some. There are 3 reasons shown up here. The first 2 reasons are called narrow scope reasons. They are reasons for or against a single intentional attitude or action. The third reason is called wide scope reason. It is a reason for or against a combination of intentional attitudes or actions, rather than a reason for or against a single intentional attitude or action. This suggests the answer. Inferential reasoning is reasoning that occurs in response to wide-scope reasons, and non-inferential reasoning is reasoning that occurs in response to narrow-scope reasons. However, this answer cannot be correct. In addition to being a response to a wide-scope reason, this process may also be a response to one or more narrow-scope reasons, such as reasons to form a true belief about its conclusion. Therefore, in addition to being a response to a wide-scope reason, processes of inferential reasoning can also be a response to narrow-scope reasons. By contrast, processes of non-inferential reasoning only seem to occur in response to narrow-scope reasons. This suggests the following answer. The answer number 4, which is the correct answer, inferentially reasoning is reasoning that occurs in response to at least one wide-scope reason, and non-inferential reasoning is reasoning that occurs only in response to narrow-scope reasons. In conclusion, although Strummer did not argue that answer number 4 is the only answer to the question, he argued that it is more successful than other answers he brought up. It not only meets the 2 requirements that said, first, it should give a correct, informative, and unified account of the difference between processes of reasoning that are clearly inferential and processes that are clearly non-inferential. Second, it should make sense of the existence of disagreements in ethics and epistemology, in which the difference between inferential and non-inferential reasoning plays a role.